Okay, good morning. We're getting ready to go over to Ace Powdercoating over in Akron. Our friend Ed Vanneman has a powder coating company over there. We're going to get this 75 Z1 frame powder coated, as we showed you our progress on it so far. So what we're going to do is we have to make sure that we keep this swing arm with it. And the Kawasaki 900 swing arms were date coated right here. You always want to keep that with the frame if at all possible. Then this is the frame. This frame was really nice to start out with. But as I said before, we had some issues where we had a crash bar in the front of it. So when you smooth this out, it's pretty nicely folded in with some braze. So I think this is going to do the trick. Then we're going to replace there's on the internet, there's a man named Rick Brett that reproduces these decals here. So since it's going to be powder coated, this is all going to be blasted off. So we have a replacement decal coming for this. But I think we got a good thing going here. So we're going to stop over here at Ed's and see what's happening. Okay, we're here at Ed's, Ace Powdercoating Company. He also owns Collision Service, a body shop. We've been doing business with Ed for over a decade now. Ed's a total asset to our shop, to the vintage motorcycle business, and we're going to show you some stuff that he does. We're here to pick up our engine cases for the 75 Z1 that he's doing for us, as well as we're going to drop off the frame. He's going to powder coat it for us and kind of make it look good. Hopefully he'll be able to cover up all the welds and stuff that we've done. And we'll take you inside, and you're probably going to see some pretty cool stuff that he has on display. Pretty cool body shop. Yep. Hey Ed.
Hey John, how you doing? Still selling Kawasaki's, huh?
Oh yeah. I'm going to talk to Ed here about picking up the engine cases. We're going to drop off a frame, and let's go inside and check out and see if Ed's got something cool laying around we can look at and go from there. As you can see, Ed's got a cool shop. Posters everywhere. Motorcycles everywhere. Rock and roll everywhere.
Rock and roll and motorcycles, yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. Wow.
Let's see, well this is a BSA that I bought from John probably 10 years ago at least. When we got it, it had a pink frame, it had a 12-inch over front end, it had a king queen seat, but the guy saved all the original parts, had the original headlight with it because it had the square headlight, and even the seat and the toolkit and everything was with it. So we went ahead and powder coated the frame, basically put it back together like it was originally.
Always remember, when you're doing business, getting stuff done, stick with a motorcycle enthusiast, because they always put that extra oomph in it.
This was a BSA Cyclone in 1965. This a customer brought in and seen the motorcycle over there, and he was getting some parts powder coated, and said, you know, I'm going to sell you this because I want to see it put back together. So they only made about 200 of these for homologation, because this is a 500cc that you had to do the 500cc's to race AMA back then.
How about the lunchbox?
Well, I bought a 1951 TR5, which is the same style as what Fonzie rode. And the guy, when I got the motorcycle from him, threw the lunchbox, and he goes, you have to have the lunchbox to go to the motorcycle. And 51 TR5 used to sit there, but we just rotated him in and out.
You know, just as a sidebar, to the best of my knowledge, Fonzie had a knucklehead, a Harley knucklehead, for the first 4 episodes of Happy Days. And then they thought it would be bad for the image of the show, so then they switched to the BSA.
Triumph.
Or Triumph, I'm sorry, Triumph.
And Bud Akins actually owned that, and after the show was over, it went back to Bud, and it sold recently for some good coin. I'm not sure how much, but it's a great show. When you restore these, the hardest thing is to get this sheen back, because if you glass beat them, you end up etching them. And when they're etched, they're not the same finish as when they were cast originally. So this actually peens the surface where a glass bead etches it. So when you look at this, it's all stress relieved from the peening, And then the finish also, it doesn't leave the fingerprints. Like there's a head over there that's been picked up by everybody for 6 months and it doesn't mark it because it's not porous like it is when you glass bead it.
For us to do these at our shop, it's a huge mess. We would have to bead blast the cases, wash them out, and it takes longer to clean up all the threads and make sure there's no sand in the threads. So it's just like a total no-brainer to do this. I'm sure some of the guys out there restoring bikes are still doing the bead blasting, but all in all, for dollar, it's hard to beat what's happening here. Plus, like as Ed said, it doesn't leave fingerprints all over and everything because there's still something left of the material.
Not only that, but when you do the glass beading actually is dust inside the pores. So it etches it and the dust is there. So it isn't until actually when the motor's warmed up that the dust gets released into the oil, which isn't good at all. With this, there's no dust. I was talking to the guys who build all the Porsche motors, the air-cooled motors, and the only way when they use glass bead that they can get it out is they had to ultrasonic it for like an hour to 180 degrees, and then they would steam clean it, just trying to get all the dust out so it wouldn't travel through the race motors. But the vapor blasting, you don't have any of that. If you want to come out in the shop here, we'll show you how the vapor blast will do a couple pieces.
Ed's got a carburetor here that he wants to show us how his new process works, and this is
These carburetors are made from zinc, so they're not, it's not aluminum like they were. So this, you can see it doesn't take any of the finish off. So you can do the inside of the carburetors, you can do it all, but you can tell like the brass and everything comes back to life. And look at the difference there. I mean, it's amazing what it does with the softer metals.
I think this process could be also good to us for parts that are not usable anymore.
Valve cover. So we vapor blast it. As you can see, it doesn't etch the chrome, so it doesn't hurt the chrome, but it'll clean it up. So it takes the pits. The pits are still there, but it's all clean looking. So if you want to keep a part original, you can vapor blast the chrome, and it looks 100% better than it did without getting to re-chrome it. If you had there's just another valve cover we did half and half. You see the before and after of.
That's incredible.
Now if you had this is just a cheap part, but if this was a rare part, after it's vapor blasted, you could take and grind this down and save this. I mean, if this was a Harley part off, an early Harley part, you could take something that was this ugly, and with some finesse of getting the pits down deeper and finish, you could put the finish back to like what it was. So, see, this isn't an expensive part, it wouldn't be worth your labor, but this was chrome, this was a mess. It's got the potential to save old parts. This is the head, this head's been done 6 months ago, and it's been sitting, everybody comes in and plays, but you see the pinion, it doesn't leave the fingerprints. You don't have like what you had like if you vapor, or if you glass bead it.
That's amazing.
So the powder just goes on as a dust. Now if he doesn't like that, he can take a blow on it and blow it off. All this is dust. You start over. What that has, it's got two different parts in, like an epoxy. So once it gets up to 390 degrees, the two parts melt together, and then it flows, and that's how you end up with your powder. Then it goes in the oven. Powder can go for 390 degrees for 10 minutes or 300 degrees for 20 minutes. But that's when the two parts bind. So if it's not baked all the way for some reason, take acetone and wipe acetone on it, and then the color will come off. But once those two parts in the powder bind, then that's when you lock in. And powder isn't indestructible. Everybody thinks powder's indestructible. It's still paint, just like when we go with liquid, but it's going on in a different process. There's more plasticity, so it is more durable, but if you got a frame and you drop a wrench on it, you're going to chip it. It's not indestructible. The sweetest thing about powder is, one of the sweetest things, is the price. It's like 1/3 the price of spraying liquid. And when you store a frame, the powder flows.
takes like 5 minutes for it to melt, but it's not going to be cured. So you want the piece to actually hit the 392 degrees itself for it to cure.
Obviously, that's the same powder you're using on these.
Yep. That's all it takes for it to bake and get on there, but you got to cure it for at least a half hour.
So you'll strip this back off and we'll close it up. Now you have to strip this in the strip tank first, correct?
No, it depends. If there's paint on it, like this hasn't been stripped at all. So.
But the cases, did they have to be stripped?
They actually did. They came off pretty easy.
Okay.
It depends on if somebody's painted or powdered it before. That's about it.
So if it's been powdered before, you put it in the other tank and we'll tell them what you do there.
Yeah, actually. So it actually goes up to 130 degrees. So once it gets at 130 degrees, you know, it's pretty warm. Then the paint just starts falling off.
And this is a citrus baked product, so this doesn't do anything to nothing. So it's an environmentally friendly product. It's citrus based. And with the citrus, it goes into temperature. It's got a little propeller that moves it around. But if we've got powder, if this has paint on it, we'd have to put it in there and strip it first.
And there's these little balls in here. So when it's in there, they all move around, so it helps hit it all.
And that keeps it from evaporating.
Yeah.
So he can put a whole frame in there if it's been powder coated. Because if you have a frame and you go to your local sandblast place and you say it's been powder coated, they're going to charge you $400 to $500. You come with paint, they're going to charge you $100. So the powder is real difficult to get off. So we have this, and sometimes these cases, like the first set we did for you, we had to go ahead and put the tank and strip it. And once you stick it to 130 degrees, you said it just falls off.
130 degrees, it just starts falling off like that.
Right.
And then you just rinse it off and then ready to go.
Fantastic.
And then the reason that the vapor blasting was originally invented in England in the 50s was because the sandblast is the silica dust, and it's not good for the environment, not good for the people. So in Europe, they've outlawed a lot of the sandblasting and made it what's difficult to do. So this system was made over there, and they've been doing it over there for a while, and it's just now starting to come to the United States. This tank, here, for instance, is made out of stainless steel, and then it's all rubber coated inside to keep the sound down. And Ryan, you want to go ahead and fire it up?
Yep, I can do that.
A double thumbs up for saving the planet. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
This got so much torque going through it because the water in the air and the glass feed that he can mount the gun and just move the item underneath it.
Yeah, the smaller the piece, the easier.
Just because
it's just to mount it.
Kind of wear you out a little bit with the torque kicking back from it.
Incredible. You know, for years we've been bead blasting and it never looked right. Now we have a nice process, saves the planet. I don't see how it getting better than that. This is great.
When I first seen this process, they said the first early ones they made, the problem was it's got a glass bead for the story of like the concrete it turns to. So if you didn't use the machine every day, it turned the concrete to pulp and then you rebuild it. So it was a mess, and I knew that, you know, anytime someone got sick or something wasn't going to happen. So I seen a couple other ones down at Barber at the display, and they're real little. I mean, one of these would take you all day to do because they're so small. And I found this company, and they sell them out of, they're imported into Milwaukee, and then they're made in England. But this one gets the job done. You go focus. You're paying a guy here to do this, and you need something that really gets a lot of, and your surface is more even. If you're throwing a pattern like that, versus a little pencil pattern, you end up with a nice even, when you're all finished, it looks good.
Can't wait to see it.
And then if you look around back, you see this is where the water went. What's also nice about this is if you bring us a greasy part, we don't have to worry about the grease contaminating the sand. If you bring us a part that's got grease on it, we go to the powder coat it. That grease from the sand would end up in your powder and make a mess. With this, all the grease goes to the top, the water, and it flows off and goes into there, and then this paper catches it. So it's self-cleaning also. It's a closed loop system.
So I'll rinse it off. Rinse it off real quick. Then you gotta blow dry it real quick or it'll leave basically watermarks. If it's just dry like that. That's basically it. I mean, the smaller pieces obviously don't take as long. When you got all these grooves, that's when it takes a little bit longer.
Now while we're here, I got a frame thread to do. Always remember when you're hauling a frame, lay it down on its side. Because I guarantee if you don't, it's going to
fall over anyhow.
Yeah, it'll get there eventually. So here's the Z1 frame. Pretty good shape. We've done a few repairs to it, made it look good. So we want to powder coat this in gloss.
Okay. Now, the sticker here has to go away. Can you get these remade, or what do you do with the stickers?
Yeah, there's Rick Brett from United Kingdom. He reproduces these.
Okay.
So we ordered a replacement sticker for it. I believe he sells them on eBay or what have you.
Now with this here, the way the VIN is, what we have to do with the VINs is we'll go ahead and we'll sandblast the frame down, we'll powder coat it, but we'll tape the VIN number off. So we tape the VIN off, and then when he's all finished with powder coat, he'll just dust a little bit of powder over that. So you're gonna have a real thin powder here, but then you'll still be able to see the VIN. Because a lot of times when I used to use, before I got in the business myself, you take a frame though guy and you say, don't lose the VIN number. And they lose the VIN number because the powder's so thick. And then when you go to sell it, you got only the guy's taking your word that it's a matching number, that it's the right VIN number.
Right.
So that's real important on doing these. Is the powder's real thin on the VIN number.
That's why you take stuff from professionals that care.
Well, when you do motorcycles, you run into that's how I got into this. I used to go to a place down the street, and I took him a BMW frame. The guy told me to be ready in 3 weeks. Well, 6 months later, I'm calling the guy. The guy says, come and get it. I don't have time for this stuff, really. I mean, this is just too small projects for me. I said, okay. And then I started my own business to get it done. And because when you're on a roll on these projects, you can't wait 6 months. You can't wait. You lose interest, or you forget how it goes back together. So it has to be. You got to turn the stuff around quick. We try and turn everything around in a week. I mean, sometimes people don't want it. We'll tell them, they can wait a couple weeks and reprioritize. But we try and get everything back. And unfortunately, my stuff I get back in a day or two. But that's the sweet spot to it. Just getting it right back.
It's definitely good for us. I always have these bins at our shop. Ace semi-gloss. Now these are some parts for another bike that we stock. We like refurbished parts. This is stuff that we're going to have done in semi-gloss. Ed can do any finish you want. And this old crummy thing here is for my Mercedes-Benz station wagon that we're redoing. So
you're working on that, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then we have the matching swing arm for the bike. Really, 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 really good shape. Very nice. No damage, no chain damage. Nice piece. And like we were showing earlier, you want to keep the stock swing arm with it, as it's got a date code right here that's stamped. So definitely want to keep that together. And I'm going to talk to Ed about when I leave that visible now that I know we have that option with the serial numbers.
On the colors of these, there's different glosses of black. So they make like a wet black. They claim they made for the OCC guys. It's just absolute flow. It looks like it's wet paint. Well, that's too wet because these were never that black. So we have a color we actually call Johnny Black because we do much for, and it matches the black. So it's not a wet black, but it's still a gloss black. And that's what we do on the frames for 90% of the people we do. And all my stuff and the British stuff and everything. Because the British bikes were just dipped in a stove enamel, which basically powder's the same thing. You can dip in powder and pull it out and bake it in a stove. So powder's very similar to the stove enamel that was used originally at the factories. So
as you can see, we've got the frame back from the powder coater at Ed's at Ace Powder Coating. Frame looks nice. We had the crash bar here and we straightened this out. We raised it back, and now the powder coating makes it look really nice. Before we had the little marks here from the crash bar that went across. As you can see, we have the motor in the frame, the chassis starting to get together, and a lot of nice detail work here. This is the aqua vapor blast thing that Ed does over at Ace Powder Coating. Looks pretty good. As you can see, we're timing the cams. Got all the cam chain adjusters and everything in it already. We're actually servicing the cam chain adjuster as we speak right now. And all the bolts are nice and detailed and everything. Still has the dots here on the lower motor mount bolts and everything. This is gonna be a pretty nice bike. We're just going to show you what it looks like in a process, and we will stay in tune. Okay, the bike has been completed. I've been out test driving it. We can't thank Ed and Ryan over at Ace Powder Coating. I just want to point out a few things that they've done for us, and we really appreciate it so much. They powder coated these gauge covers here, just like new. Powder coated the headlight bucket. Powder coated the front brake hub. Gorgeous job on the frame. As we said before in the video, we're looking at some issues here. We had a crash bar. We raised that in, and it looks really, really good. They also did the motor mounts, swing arm, the center stand, just everything. You know, turned out so nice. And then last but not least, the engine. I only rode the bike 25 miles so far, but this still looks totally incredible. We can't thank those guys enough for their support of the vintage bike business and doing what they do, and Ed stepping up to the plate and getting all that nice equipment. We will certainly continue to do these projects. If you look at the other side here, everything just complements everything. Yeah, we have the center stand, we have the the side stand, just all these mounts. It all blends and it makes it look like a nice setup. So thanks for everybody being a part of this motorcycle, and we look to build another one.